Hello, once again. Welcome to TUI Sports digital platform, Beyond the Boundary, your daily show on cricket, Indian cricket, and all that right here on TUI Sports. As always, we've got an interesting panel to discuss some burning cricket issues. Nitin Naik joins us from Mumbai. We'll very shortly be
Hi.
joined by Gaurav Gupta, who's joining us from Dubai. But we have the privilege of having Nitin with us. Nitin, to start off, this Champions Trophy came to life, so to speak, last night with that
Yeah.
contest between England and Afghanistan. It was England's sixth straight defeat. How did you look at that contest yesterday?
Hi, Chandresh. Firstly, good evening to all. And first, takes me back to the Kotla in 2023. Before that game, which happened on a Sunday, and everyone was thinking that the One Day World Cup hasn't really got to the start that it needed, because there was a very lukewarm start between New Zealand and England, with the Ahmedabad stadium almost half empty, and the India-Pakistan game also turned out to be a bit of a damp squid. I think India chased it down in under 30 overs, whatever Pakistan got, and everyone was kind of fearing for the one-day game. And that defeat of England by Afghanistan at the Kotla kind of reinvigorated that World Cup campaign, and Afghanistan then ended up beating Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and really they were the story of that World Cup. Apart from India winning 10 out of the 11 games, and I think much like that World Cup campaign, and I think this Champions Trophy also probably has sprung back to life thanks to Afghanistan's thrilling win yesterday in Lahore.
Yeah, and we welcome Gaurav Gupta to this chat as well. Gaurav, welcome to the chat straight from Dubai. Uh, how did you look at this England new Afghanistan game? This was England's sixth straight loss in one day cricket. For a team that reinvigorated or reinvented themselves in the one day format after the 2015 debacle. Do you think it's time for another reinvention for them in this format?
Uh, Firstly, it's a pleasure to talk to both of you on cricket again. My, I've been quite disappointed with the way England have played actually last 2 3 years. Starting with the 23 World Cup, considering that they were the T20 World Cup and the ODI World Cup joint winners. I think very few teams have done it, or were they the first ever to do it? They were the ODI and the T20 World Champions at the same time. And that
Yeah.
that method seemed to be really working for them. But somehow Brendan McCullum, what he was meant for, what he his infusion into the white ball squad as the coach has not had the kind of impact which has been pretty amazing to see, because the aggressive brand of cricket that he promoted in Test cricket really worked for England. And I thought that this is the modern day demand of the white ball format as well, and England would do pretty well. But I think they've somehow floundered completely, and their decline started with that 23 World Cup in India, where they were all over the place, losing matches left, right, and center to Afghanistan and to various other teams. I think to South Africa also. And clearly their whole planning has gone for a toss. I mean, Josh Butler is batting way too down. I think he came at number 6 yesterday. Phil Salt has not come good as an opener, which has been pretty disappointing to see. He's pretty destructive opener, but he's just not done justice to his talent. Ben Duckett is, sometimes he fires, but then sometimes he does not fire. But he's a bit inconsistent that way. Joe Root is the only shining light in their batting lineup. Harry Brook has hardly done justice to his enormous talent. Jamie Smith, again, somebody who's just not come good despite the investment in him, and he's supposed to be a big hitter and supposed to be the next big thing. Obviously, they're missing. I think एक उनके कौन जो आरसीबी में गए हैं बड़े player who's rated highly. I think he's injured. I'm forgetting his name. That fellow is not there. Liam Livingstone, again, extremely destructive player, but has not come good. And their bowling has been all over the place. Their fast bowling, especially, Wood and Archer, for all their pace, have not been consistent enough, and they have sort of resorted to the short ball far too often, and that has led to them being hammered. Adil Rashid again has been like Joe Root in batting. Adil Rashid has been their sole light in the bowling department. They clearly lack in the spin department as well. Like India seems to be so well stocked, or Afghanistan seems to be quite well stocked. सो आई थिंक इंग्लैंड का जो एग्जिट है वो काफी एक्सपेक्टेड ही हो रहा था, जिस तरह से फॉर ऑल द बिग टॉक दैट बेन डकेट डिड, that we're going to beat India in the semi-finals and stuff like that. But highly disappointing, I think, England over the last 2 3 years.
Nitin, this point that sports fan has also brought up about Owen Morgan. In
Hmm.
2015, when there was a debacle in the 2015 ODI World Cup, they went back to the drawing board, saw where they made a mistake, and said that we'll bat aggressively, we'll put up a lot of runs, we'll bat deep, we'll have all rounders. And that strategy worked for England and it helped them win the 2019 World Cup and also the 2022 T20 World Cup because of the fact that I think that they had more or less the same set of players. Do you think
Yeah.
that they lost all of them at one go and that has resulted in this because you don't have a Johnny Bairstow, Jason Roy, Alex Hales, Ben Stokes, Liam Plunkett? Not enough is spoken about Liam Plunkett. His last
Yeah.
game for England was a
Was
2019
the
World Cup
final.
final. He now runs an academy in the States. So I just want to like bring that point because everybody confuses baseball with their one white ball format, but the actual baseball, so to speak, started with Owen Morgan in 2015.
Yeah, and I also think I'm not very sure whether captaincy sits very easily with Joss Butler. I mean, I just noted down some stats. He is, and now I think they have to make that call and a decision whether Butler the batsman is more important for them or Butler the captain and the batter, because his captaincy stats in 44 games he scored 1,392 runs at an average of 35, whereas his performances as non-captain, he's averaging 40.5, and a 5 percentage drop for such a key batter, and who's regarded largely as England's all-time greatest white ball batter. I think that's a huge drop, and I think they need to make that call whether Butler the batter is more important for them than Butler the captain batter. I think he tends to take defeats very personally. I mean, you could sense it even in his press conferences during the World Cup, as well as after the bilateral T20 loss. At least the impression that I got when he interacted with the media at the Wankhede after the drubbing at the hands of India by 150 runs. Uh, After that Abhishek Sharma special, I mean, he looked completely disconsolate, down, answered mostly in monosyllables. I don't think Morgan really had that issue. I mean, he could take defeats on the chin and move on very quickly. And I think Butler is someone who takes losses very personally. And I think right now the weight of the world seems to be on his shoulders. And I think um, as McCullum also said when he took over, part of my job is to make him smile a little bit more because he had endured two poor white ball global trophies. So um, and both of them were business partners at one point of time, and that lasted very short. And I don't think this partnership is going to last long either.
Interesting, Nitin. Before I bring in Gaurav, I also wanted to ask you about the comments. This is something that Tanya Suri has also asked. Comments of Ben Duckett during the ODI series in England.
Yeah.
Do you think that those comments, even though we all feel that bilateral one day cricket is not that important, bilateral T20 cricket is not that important, to voice that openly, do you think that
Hmm.
was disrespecting the game as Tanya mentions here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to play well outside of global tournaments, and if you're not going to play well outside of global tournaments in a series which is stacked up very close to a global tournament, then I think you tend to carry that bit of lackadaisical attitude into the global tournament also. I think just like in tennis, and you don't play well in a slam suddenly if you're playing very poorly in your ATP 2 or 250, ATP 500, ATP 1000 tournaments. So uh, you have to have form leading into and form and attitude leading into these. I also was very intrigued by what Harry Brooks said when he was leading against Australia. When I think he was questioned about one of his shots, he said that it really doesn't matter if you get caught inside the circle or caught on the boundary line. So, I mean, what kind of a response is that? You don't you because I think this England team is hell bent on playing, in only one tempo. They do not really have a lower tempo or an I mean, even yesterday when Overton and Archer were playing, I think they needed in 15 balls they needed 17 runs, and I think on such on a field like Lahore that could have been easily done, but they again went aerial and and they lost and I think that is what has been their issue. They don't know really how to bat in a lower tempo.
That's right. Gaurav, the other point that I wanted to make was the other question I wanted to ask you is that this is something that Alex Hartley, the former England women's cricketer, also has made this comment about both the men's and women's team. कि they come out and say कि हमें entertain करना है लोगों को और ये भूल जाते हैं कि लोग आपको आपसे एंटरटेन होने के लिए नहीं आ रहे हैं, आपको मैच जीतते हुए देखना चाहते हैं. That's a very important point because उनकी women's team भी recently in Australia Ashes, they had a disastrous Ashes, and the women's team actually boycotted Alex Hartley for being critical of them. Now, is that the mistake that England's making after Morgan in white ball cricket especially?
Mm, could you just repeat yourself? I mean, basically, you're saying that yeah. Could you just
Their
repeat yourself?
attitude is their attitude, according to Alex Hartley, is that we are coming to the ground to entertain you.
Oh,
So
okay,
उस
okay,
प्रोसेस
right.
में अगर हम हार जाए, it's okay. So
But
is
then
that
that is
attitude because
also. Mm,
this is a shift
mm.
from the Owen Morgan era in white ball cricket that was already there in the test match format, but this is a shift from the Owen Morgan era. That's what I wanted to ask you.
I think what happened is Chandresh ki wo red ball mein wo chal gaya wo approach on and they won quite a few test matches. And at that time, if you see Ben Stokes' ka press conferences and Brendan McCullum, all the talk was about entertaining the spectators. And I think that thinking has been carried into the ODIs. It's just that wo test mein chal gaya. Everybody was hailing baseball at that point in time, and everybody was clapping away. अब ये क्योंकि नहीं चल रहा है, बैकफायर हो रहा है, टेस्ट में पहले हुआ और अभी ओडीआईज में भी हो गया है, तो इसलिए अब ये नाउ इट्स बीइंग लुक डाउन अपॉन. So थोड़ा सा I think results matter a lot at the end of the day, whichever approach you take. I think it was an approach which was suiting England, but obviously one way they cannot be just one dimensional way to play a sport. You have to learn when to sort of grind it out and so on and so forth. So I think वो थोड़ा सा वहाँ गड़बड़ हुई है उनसे. And I think personnel का भी थोड़ा सा problem हो रहा है. They're not that new talent अगर मैं कहूँ तो शायद वो उस तरह से नहीं आ रहा है. I mean, Archer has come back from injury, but again, these wickets for Archer and Wood, the way they are bowling, I mean, these same guys in England and Australia, they'll be perhaps a handful. But ये subcontinental tracks पे क्या हो रहा है कि short ball is pretty easy to negotiate. Here you can't even, Shreyas Iyer will get on top of you and he'll whack you away for a six. So I think that is also a big issue, and they're clearly lacking in the spin department as well. They're lacking bowlers who can sort of maintain that pressure. They're lacking, big hitters. They're lacking a good start. Firstly, I think Ben Duckett to फिर भी one step बनाया उन्होंने, but I think Salt has been immensely disappointing. So I guess if they sort out their bit of their personnel, then things will be fine again with them because they had similar issues in 23 World Cup also. Maybe it's just a golden era which has come to an end, and they need new players to sort of a new transfusion of new blood. Now, I don't know, maybe even Butler अगर इस तरह से चलते रहता है उनका, तो मुझे कहीं ना कहीं बटलर का भी फ्यूचर थोड़ा सा खतरे में लग रहा है. कंसिडरिंग दैट वहां पर इतना ज्यादा रेपुटेशन के हिसाब से नहीं होते हैं सिलेक्शंस. So I don't know. I mean, perhaps this team needs an overall that golden period wherein they looked unstoppable in the 2019 World Cup. I was there and I was pretty damn confident that they will beat India. They did beat India easily at Birmingham. I was pretty confident they will get past Australia in the semis. They did. But I thought they will sort of New Zealand को भी हरा देंगे, लेकिन New Zealand proved to be a pretty tough nut to crack. Eventually, they did go on and win the World Cup, even though controversially. But they looked the best team by far in that tournament. वो रिदम उनकी उसके टूर्नामेंट के बाद में आई नहीं है. शायद वो कंडीशंस का भी खेल है, बट overall I think they need to I think they need a new sort of an overhaul and perhaps some new players coming in.
You saw how Gaurav stopped short of saying that England won the World Cup with the same fierce enthusiasm that he spoke about them beating India, Australia in the semi-final. But when it came to the final, Gaurav stopped short of saying that England actually beat New Zealand. He voiced the opinion of a lot of Kiwi supporters and a lot of supporters of New Zealand cricket as well, silently. But coming to the composition of this English squad for the Champions Trophy, Nitin, they have
Hmm.
four wicket keepers. Phil Salt,
Yeah,
Josh Butler doesn't keep, Jamie Smith, and also Tom Banton who can keep. In the
yeah.
past, the 2019 squad or the 2016
Duckett
T20
also.
World Cup and Duckett
Duckett
as
also
well.
is a keeper.
Yeah, so the 2016 T20 World Cup squad and the 22 T20 World Cup squad of England, 2016 they finished runner-up, 22 they won the T20 World Cup. Both those times, and also in the ODI format in the 2019 tournament, you saw this team had a lot of depth with all-rounders,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
India didn't have in those years.
Hmm.
Now, do you think that's a miss? Because if you look at very closely, they have just one all rounder, Liam Livingstone. If they had, say, a Moeen Ali coming down the order or some others, you might probably have seen a bit more aggression at the top of the order, which they usually show with Phil Salt and Ben Duckett. Do you think the squad itself was a problem?
Yeah, also, I think players like Chris Wokes, who was very, very crucial, then Moeen Ali, as you said, these guys really,
Sam Curran.
I mean, Sam Curran, these are the players who, and I really do not know whose brainchild this was to go in with such a high pace, right arm seam at dominated attack for these kind of pitches, and also for this pitches that they encountered in India. I mean, I don't think this kind of an attack works in the subcontinent. In subcontinent, you need players who can, those Mitchell Santner, Ravindra Jadeja kind of bowlers who can bowl flattish left arm spin, who can bowl with a degree of control when there are only four fielders inside the circle from over number 10 to over number 40. Sorry, over number 11 to over number 40. So you need bowlers who can bowl with a little bit of variety, and also bowlers who can get you some wickets. I think Adil Rashid does not have the support in this lineup that he needs. And once the ball loses its shine, like yesterday also, they got the first three wickets, but once the ball lost its shine, they even all the bowlers, they bowled slower ones into the batsman's arc, and people like Omar Zai and Zadran, they carted them, and even Mohammad Nabi, they carted them into the stands. So they do not have the variety that is needed, like the way Harshit Rana bowled the other day with different kind of slow ones. You saw how Omar Zai bowled to Joe Root and to get the wicket of Butler, how he bowled those slower ones into the pitch, and so you need a little bit more smartness, and just going in with high pace on these kind of pitches on wickets, especially like Lahore, which tend to skid on under lights. uh, I don't think they really had the attack to to compete really.
And Gaurav, the worry is also, and I read somewhere, and then I checked up myself, is the fact that core of this one day squad, like Joe Root, Josh Butler, and others, they played a lot of 50 over cricket in their formative years. But now,
Yeah,
since 2020, since the start of about the 100, the 100 coincides with their one day tournament, where most of the Indian players go and score a lot of runs, and we in India go, wah, wah, kya baat hai. But we don't realize that one day tournament consists of players who are not wanted by the 100 franchises. The 100 franchise has the players who are high quality T20 players. And the 100 tournament, because the Indians are not allowed to play the T20 format or the 100, they go and play the 100 and a few county red ball matches. Now, once this slot goes away, the next slot really doesn't know what it is to play a 50 over game, because they're only playing in those crucial months the 100 or T20 leagues around the world. Is that going to be a problem for England as well going forward if the format survives?
हाँ, उनका एक रॉयल वनडे कप है, जिसमें कि हमारे
But that
भारतीय
is
प्लेयर भी जब जाते हैं तो खेलते हैं। हुँ।
because that is also that one day cup happens at the same time as the 100, and the second team players or the discards play in that rather than the main players.
नहीं, then it is definitely an issue, but ये तो एक वर्ल्ड वाइड इशू है चंद्रेश, बिकॉज हमारे यहाँ भी टीम मोस्टली आईपीएल पे पिक की जाती है। हमारे यहाँ तो टेस्ट टीम आईपीएल पे पिक की जाती है, फॉरगेट अबाउट द वनडे टीम, हमारे यहाँ अभी जैसे रणजी ट्रॉफी का फाइनल चल रहा है, आई डोंट थिंक एनीबडी इज बॉदर्ड, ये आईपीएल का ही हमारे यहाँ भी ये तो वर्ल्ड ओवर वो फिनोमिना बन गया है, वेर इन नाउ T20 those who perform well in T20s get the in the T20 leagues get a preference। आई थिंक सेम चीज इंग्लैंड में हो रही है, बट हाँ, ये 100 90 80 ये सब आके उनका डेफिनेटली क्रिकेट कहीं ना कहीं अफेक्ट होगा, विदाउट डाउट, बिकॉज एज यू सेड द शॉर्टर द फॉर्मेट हो रहा है, तो वो जो हैबिट है विकेट पे रह के और स्टे करके और वो इनिंग्स बिल्ड करने की इन अ 50 ओवर्स गेम, आपको फ्यूचर में जाके कितने जो रूट मिलेंगे या बाकी प्लेयर मिलेंगे जो कि आपकी क्रिकेट को आगे लेके जाएंगे, दैट कुड बी एन इशू, यू नो आई थिंक डेफिनेटली प्रॉब्लम तो है, बट देन 100 इज आल्सो समथिंग that they made it to be a very lucrative one, and they've got investors, that is a format in which they're looking to make money and looking to bail out their counties who are cash strapped. So I think it's a situation which cannot be helped, but somewhere maybe I don't know, they'll have to work on their 50 overs game without doubt. This cannot go on because to a couple of years down the line you have a World Cup in South Africa, and England is definitely they will go in as they will want to sort of recapture their glory. So they have to make some serious steps and think about how to revive their 50 overs game.
Nitin, we've got to cut some slack for Brendan McCullum because he's just become the white ball head coach as well. So Brendan McCullum is definitely going to be there. Just like he sort of reinvented the test game for England with Ben Stokes. What? Who can it be with Brendan McCullum who can reinvent England in both the T20 format and the one day format?
Looks like they're going to have Harry Brook, who can lead them in the white ball format. He's 26 years old. Probably his best years are ahead of him. But McCullum himself was, a bit of a daredevil. You saw the shot that he played in the World Cup final, and did not want to bide his time against Mitchell Stark. In Melbourne in the 2015 final, whereas general logic would have suggested that you just hold, since the Kookaburra doesn't swing for more than 3 or 4 overs, you just maybe bide your time and then go for your shots. But he said, no, this is the approach that works for me. That's why I said the tempo. They do not know how to bat in a lower tempo. So I think that it could be Harry Brook, but I hope that he also learns how to maybe scale his game down by a couple of notches, and look for the singles and twos and graph. He has a great fellow Yorkshireman who almost pulled the game out of the fire for them yesterday in Joe Root. I would in fact want Joe Root to become the white ball captain again, or rather for the first time. I don't think he has led England in white ball cricket. So I would like it if Joe Root becomes the captain till the 2027 World Cup in South Africa, and then that will still leave him out of leave him with less pressure in the one day setup. Sorry, in the test setup, so he can complete the missing jigsaw puzzle in his resume by getting 100 in Australia, which he hasn't done in red ball cricket. So I would like it if Joe Root becomes the white ball captain, because you need somebody with a little bit more sense, and not have this maverick approach that England are playing their white ball cricket with.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting times ahead for England in one day and T20 cricket because they had become a powerhouse in the white ball format. Already in the British newspapers, I can read the fact that they are mourning the fact that they have disintegrated uh, as a
Yeah.
white ball empire. Uh, so lots of mourning for them because in the last 75 years, their empire has fallen few times.
No,
But
and
in this,
sadly, they have never had their red ball and white ball teams play cricket, play successfully at one time.
yes.
When they prioritized the white ball format, their red ball cricket really suffered, which almost uh, nosedived. Their fortunes really nosedived, especially when the players had to live in bio bubbles, and they even ended up losing a series in humiliating fashion to the West Indies in 2022, and that's what caused Joe Root to resign as captain. So now that the red ball fortunes seemingly, I mean, I'm using the word seemingly, have picked up, their white ball cricket has suffered a crisis. So I don't know what is happening with them. They need both their team setups, to function like a well-oiled machine. Right now, I thought that I saw Rob Key the other day in Lahore, when during the warm-ups. I don't know whether he's still there, but if he has flown back in, then I'm sure that he's flown back with some excess baggage in terms of lots of thoughts about what to do with this white ball team.
Slightly digressing, Nitin, in today's cricket, is Australia really the only side able to have their side doing well in three different formats uh,
Hmm.
simultaneously? Even in India, if we win the World Cup, it has a knock-on effect in the performance in the Test matches. We saw in '83, saw in
Hmm.
2011, and we're seeing now as well. We mustn't lose the sight of the fact that India is right now in a horrible state in the red ball format. So, is in that sense only Australia capable of doing well and compartmentalizing each format separately?
Depends upon the eras. That this era, yes, this set of players maybe has played well across formats. This trio of fast bowlers like Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark. I don't know how long they're going to play together. I was reading quotes of Stark on the wires where he said that he's prioritized his ankle and he wanted to be really fit for the WTC final and the IPL. So that's why he thought that he could give the Champions Trophy a miss, although he has never won the Champions Trophy as a player. In fact, the win against England the other day in Lahore was their first win after the 2009 final against New Zealand at Centurion. This was their first win in the Champions Trophy. So for a good 16 years, they had not won a Champions Trophy game. This era of Australian players, again, I would like to judge them once this crop of fast bowlers, I think they call it quits, because I think they are really been well served by Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark. I think the real test will begin once these three go away and Nathan Lyon goes away from the test format.
Absolutely. Now, moving ahead, Gaurav, Kevin Peterson has joined the Delhi Capitals as their mentor, and they also had Matthew Mott, the former England white ball head coach, joining as the assistant coach as well. So we have two additions to their lineup, coaching staff, so to speak. They already had director of cricket in Venugopal Rao. Then you have head coach in Hemang Badani, Kevin Peterson now, Matthew Mott, Munaf Patel. How do you look at this appointment of Kevin Peterson?
I think है उनके पास में एक solid lineup of coaches. I mean, I thought they were a bit light on, they risked it a bit because Hemang Badani is their head coach, na? Hemang Badani is the head coach
Yeah,
and Venugopal Rao. And they lost Praveen Amre. I think Praveen Amre quit.
yeah,
Around that time, when they went for a complete overall of them, they needed an
yeah.
overall. काफी टाइम से उनका चल रहा था overall, and they got rid of Ricky Ponting, who had a trophyless run for a number of years. And I think Kevin Peterson is an excellent addition to their, वो mentor करके आ रहे हैं, तो I don't know how कितना वो influence होगा, and so many people, again, it's a bit of a khichdi. But then I think Matthew Mott is another somebody who had, I mean, he was, I think, the England ka World Cup winning coach of 2019,
Yeah,
that World Cup
2022.
team, and also 2020. Sorry,
No,
2022,
2019 it was
2019, I think,
Trevor
19 was Trevor
Bayliss.
Bayliss, is it? Trevor
Yeah,
Bayliss, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So 1922 T20 World Cup team, and also the women's team. I think, if I remember correctly, the Australian women's team
Australia.
won a lot with Matthew Mott as their head coach. So pretty successful guy. In fact, आई थॉट इंग्लैंड भी थोड़ा जल्दी करके उनको नहीं उन्होंने रखा अपनी व्हाइट बॉल टीम, मेंस व्हाइट बॉल टीम कोच करके फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. So excellent addition, I think, overall for Delhi Capitals. They have a decent support staff in place, and I think अब कप्तान का ही रह गया तो lot of speculation whether it will be Akshar Patel. I think it should be Akshar Patel. But having said that, KL Rahul can never be ruled out of captaincy. So दोनों में वो थोड़ा सा रेस रहेगा. But overall, I think pretty sort of a solid support staff they have in place now.
We
It's a
also have
pretty somebody who it's a support staff which has a lot of experience of white ball cricket.
Yeah, the support staff also has Vijay Bharadwaj, former India all-rounder, as head of talent scout. Nitin, do you look at it as clash of ideologies as well? Because you've got four Indian players who are not really outstanding players, but middle-rung players, and then you've got a superstar in Kevin Pietersen, and then a successful hard as nails coach in Matthew Mott.
Yeah, but depends on who they really make the captain. I hope that it is not KL Rahul because I thought he's had his time as a franchise and an India captain. I think that the captaincy burden puts makes him bat differently in T20 cricket. I think his best year in the IPL was 2018, where he absolutely batted like a dream for Kings 11 Punjab, now Punjab Kings. I think that was, and I really want KL Rahul to bat the way he batted in. Although I think his India T20 career is well and truly over, if he at all has any hopes of coming back to the T20 game, then I hope that he sees videos of the 2018 KL Rahul and he recaptures that hitting form and the freedom in the mind that he had to play the way that he did.
Interesting. So, gentlemen, tomorrow we have another game in the Champions Trophy. That game is between Afghanistan and Australia. Will be played at Lahore. Quickly, Gaurav, which way are you going? Afghanistan or Australia?
Afghanistan, here I just covered. I mean, in 2023, I was with my colleague Rajesh Pansare at the Wankhede press box, and Afghanistan escaped. I mean, Australia escaped by a whisker thanks to a brilliant, absolutely once in a lifetime. I was lucky to be there to witness that knock of Glenn Maxwell, and I hope Glenn Maxwell कल जो है फिर से कुछ ऐसा कमाल ना दिखा दे because I want Afghanistan to be there. Unfortunately, because of the South Africa Australia match being washed out, थोड़ा सा अफगानिस्तान फंसे हुए हैं. उनको ये मैच मस्ट विन है उनके लिए. क्योंकि Australia and South Africa have that edge of an extra point over them. Either of them could have lost that game had that match happened. तो थोड़ा सा वहां पर एडवांटेज है. आई होप दैट मैच इज नॉट इन रावलपिंडी बिकॉज रावलपिंडी में तो सब कुछ धुल रहा है. आई थिंक दिस इज इन
No,
लाहौर,
it's in,
राइट?
It's in
it's
दिस
in
मैच
Lahore,
Lahore.
Lahore, Lahore.
लाहौर. या आई थिंक वी आर डन विद
So
रावलपिंडी थैंकफुली. सो
Rawalpindi is done for this tournament.
ग्रेट ग्रेट एक्सीलेंट एक्सीलेंट, बहुत अच्छा हो गया. दो पूरे पूरे वॉश आउट. मुझे लगता ऐसा कोई भी चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में हुआ है जहां पर कि दो पूरे मैचेस ऐसे धुल गए हो. बिल्कुल. तो I mean, it will be an exciting game. It will be, I can't wait for this because obviously that whole edge is also there. Like England, they also have Australia have serious issues playing against Afghanistan, and with the way the women are treated in Afghanistan, which is fair to an extent. I mean, I thought Nasir Hussain and Michael Atherton summed it up beautifully before the match, before the England's match, saying that issues to hai. And in fact, Hussain went to the point of saying that अगर जॉस बटलर एक स्टैंड लेते हैं और नहीं खेलते हैं ये मैच तो he will respect him for that. But then there are also issues with so many countries and so many human rights issues. So he also said that कल को आप सऊदी अरेबिया में जाके क्यों खेलते हैं हमारे फुटबॉलर. सऊदी अरेबिया में तो बहुत कुछ होता है, वहां ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशंस होते हैं, लेकिन वहां पर तो रोनाल्डो और सब लोग जाके खेल रहे हैं. So these are very to judge other countries human rights records is also a bit of a issue. And why make the men's team punish? Even the Afghanistan women's team does not want the men's team, which is currently I think residing in Australia only. It doesn't want the men's team to be punished for what is happening to the women in Afghanistan. So I think बहुत जबरदस्त मैच होगा. And I really hope Afghanistan are able to maintain their momentum. Although I think the batting depends too much on Zaltan. So I hope the others also sort of Gurbaz comes good and plays a smashing knock. Australia is depleted in bowling, so I think Afghanistan will have an edge because even with everybody there, they gave them a tough fight. In that, I mean, with Stark, Cummins, and everybody there, and Cummins also played a vital role with the bat in that game. Don't forget that वो block कर करके उन्होंने जो एक वो साथ दिया ना उसको मैक्सवेल को अपना जादू दिखाने का. तो वो बहुत, but then ऑस्ट्रेलिया की बैटिंग इस समय phenomenal फॉर्म में है. They chased 350 down against England the other day. That is where England got exposed, and you saw how good Australia can be on their day when they are batting really well. So I'm expecting, Afghanistan to rock it, and hopefully it's an India Afghanistan semi final, dream semi final in Dubai.
नितिन, क्या मुंबई का बदला होगा पूरा लाहौर में? व्हाट इज योर टेक?
Too much depends upon the toss, Chandresh. I think both the teams would want to Afghanistan for them to have any chance, they have to bat first and get maybe 270, 280 plus. I think that gives. I think their record chasing has not been great. Although they chased very well in the World Cup against Pakistan and against Sri Lanka, but I think that they are more comfortable defending a score. They also have, I think, played in their second game in Lahore, so they would be more familiar with the conditions. Australia would have taken a trip from Lahore, Pindi, Lahore, so they would be much more traveled. But I think that if Australia bat first and get 300 or 280 plus, I think it's Australia's game.
Okay, on that note, thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining us today on TOI Sports Beyond the Boundary. As always, to all the viewers watching us, please keep liking, sharing, subscribing on whatever platform you're watching us: Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're looking at us. And if you're on YouTube, please do remember to hit the notification bell icon on the YouTube channel. Till tomorrow, gentlemen, thanks a lot. To all the viewers, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll join again
Thank you.
tomorrow. Take good care of yourselves. Good
Yep.
night, goodbye, and God bless.
Thanks.